Hey, this is Steve Goodner, and this is Emotionally Intelligent Living. Great Talk with Steve. I want to talk to you today about something we all experience, and that's disappointment. And it can come in a variety of different directions. It can be something that happens at work, it can be relationships, something at home, it could be a goal that gets missed or a deadline. It could be circumstances that we have no control over. Disappointment is one of those very subtle derailers of us and what we're trying to achieve or accomplish. And why I call it subtle, if somebody makes you angry, that's very direct. If they betray you, if you feel bitterness or betrayal or all of that, that's very much out in the open. It's very aggressive, and it's something that we will all struggle to deal with appropriately. Disappointment brings some other things with it, like doubt. Well, wait a minute. Did I not achieve that because I didn't do something right? Or maybe it's, well, I'm frustrated because, this happened and now I'm disappointed. And did I misread something? Did I miss something? And so that doubt ties very closely to disappointment. And as we kind of look through this process of what is the antidote to that, first, I think we need to understand what is disappointment. Well, it's an emotion. It's our brain sending a neurotransmitter to our rest of our brain going, hey, this didn't work out right. I'm disappointed. And that sends us a message that something needs to change or something happened. And the issue there is it creates an emotional environment that may keep us stuck. And so not only do we need to define what disappointment is and understand it, we need to understand how it impacts us. So I'm going to just kind of ask you right now, how does disappointment impact you? Now, I want you to think in different layers here. First, how does it impact your emotional environment? Second, how does it impact what you do next? Third, how does it impact the amount of time that you stay disappointed? Number four, does it derail other parts of your life? Does it take up more brain space than it should? Does it keep you stuck, keep you from moving forward? So the impact of something like disappointment can be huge. And it can kind of fly under the radar sometimes because of doubt and self-blame and other things that can happen. So the next question for you, and something we all need to think about when we feel that disappointment, and that happens regularly for most of us, and especially I work with a lot of leaders, I work with a lot of salespeople in coaching them, especially in emotional intelligence. I've worked with a lot of individuals in life coaching. And disappointment is one that we focus a lot on because once we create a pathway to exit the emotional environment that disappointment wants to lay on us and just kind of create this fog for us, the more that we can clear away that fog and get clarity about what that disappointment looks like and what it's doing to us, the sooner we can move forward, which is critical. Because if your response is to stay stuck or to relive that disappointment over and over and over, what happens is you're not moving forward. You're not growing. You're not trying something different. You're just kind of in this malaise, this place of frustration and disappointment, this emotional environment. But you can change that. Some of the best leaders and salespeople and just people that I know have created their own pathway. Think of it as something happens and disappointment shows up. That's an entrance ramp onto the highway of disappointment. And you're going down this highway of disappointment, and there's a lot of things that can go wrong if you're not focused or paying attention, because life's happening all around you as you're dealing with that disappointment. So a lot of people that I know that operate at a higher level, that seem to operate more optimistically and with more internal motivation, have found exit ramps off that highway when disappointment shows up. Now, the emotion itself is going to happen. We're going to feel disappointment. We hope something's going to happen and it doesn't. We feel disappointed because of that. That's normal. There's nothing you can really do to stop that process. The antidote, and I use the term antidote for a reason, the antidote is given after it happens. So what is the antidote to disappointment? Well, it's the ability to move forward in a way that allows us to exit that area of disappointment. Now, science tells us that disappointment lasts for the initial emotion, the intensity of it will reduce in about 6 to 10 seconds. So if we continue to feel disappointment, it's going to diminish over time unless we revisit it and we just continually trigger that feeling of disappointment. So we've talked a little bit about what disappointment is, the impact it has on us, and how you're responding right now. And be honest with yourself. I mean, I know for me, if it's a huge disappointment, I mean, something I was really counting on and then it didn't happen, what happens is it may take me a day to kind of work through that. I may need to get a good sleep one night, and then the next day things kind of turn in a better direction for me, at least mentally and emotionally. For other people, it may be a lot longer than that. So be honest with yourself about what happens. Now, that's when I talk about that, what I'm talking about is your patterns, your neural pathways that have been created. So when you get a disappointment, what happens? Do you deal with it as a single entity, or does that bring up all kinds of other things in your past, other disappointments? And those tend to feed on each other. So you have this kind of this resurfacing of other disappointments and other things that are going on. When those kinds of things happen, we have to have good tools, good skills in place if we want a different result. And let me talk about that for a minute, because specifically when you're dealing with emotions, the tools, the skills that you're leveraging are emotional intelligence skills. So the first one I've mentioned already, which is recognizing patterns. What are your patterns when disappointment hits? Do you just, run away? Do you escape into something? What happens? Or do you deal with it as a challenge, something to figure out how to move in a new direction or figure out how to overcome that challenge? Your patterns are very important here, because your patterns are going to dictate, how you deal with that and how long you stay stuck. So the first one is recognizing patterns. The second one is navigating emotions. That's taking that feeling of disappointment and taking that energy, that even though it's not great energy, taking that energy and repurposing it for a better outcome. Okay, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated, but maybe I could take what I learned here and I could use that energy it gave me, and I can move in a different direction. I can try something different. I can replace the disappointment with hope and possibility, which is optimism. Um, and I know that may sound a little like name it and claim it, or, fake it till you make it or something like that. It's not. It's actually leveraging skills of emotional intelligence to move forward. Okay. So we have recognizing patterns, navigating emotions. Apply consequential thinking is kind of important here too, because if you can start to come up with options, where do I go from here? What do I try differently? Okay, that didn't work. So where should I refocus? Um, one of the things that I've seen with a lot of people that I work with is they'll keep hammering away with the same approach, the same methodology, thinking if I just hammer away long enough, something good will come out of that. Sometimes it does, right? And whether that's luck or whether that's just persistence, but the reality is applying consequential thinking, running what if scenarios in your head. If I tried this, what's the likely outcome? If I try this, what's the likely outcome, and all of that. The reality is that you may actually come up with a better outcome, a better solution. There's hope in that, there's optimism in that. It really engages your intrinsic motivation and lets you kind of create more energy for yourself, recharge your battery even better. Um, so what are some other skills of emotional intelligence that could help us here? Well, one is called pursue noble goals. Now, the skills I'm talking about come from 6 Seconds, largest emotional intelligence community in the world. And I think they've done a marvelous job of making emotional intelligence incredibly powerful, but very simple to understand, where you can really wrap your brain around these skills and figure out how to move forward. Well, what is this pursue noble goals thing? Basically, it's what is your deepest held beliefs, values, goals, standards that are really important to you, and how do we leverage those to overcome disappointment? Um, do you let disappointment become this huge, massive dark cloud that hangs over you and won't go away? Or do you look at it more realistically and say, wait a minute, that's just one event, one thing. My life is much bigger than that. My goals, my desires, my beliefs, my values, my standards are much bigger than that disappointment. Maybe it's a huge disappointment, but maybe there's huge wins out there too for us where we can really celebrate and move forward. So those are some different skills that we can use. And another one is empathy. Okay, usually people think empathy is me caring about another person and their feelings and their perspective and all of that. But empathy is a two-way street. Empathy goes to yourself as well. Stop beating yourself up. If that's part of your pattern, just stop, because there's no benefit in beating yourself up when there's a disappointment. Now, learn from whatever happened, right? Use it as a learning experience. But then let me kind of close this out with a thought. If you don't have a prepared mindset to manage and navigate disappointment when it comes your way, it's going to be much more difficult to deal with it. So when I do my masterminds for leaders, salespeople, and ministry leaders, when I do coaching for anybody that I coach, a big part of that is let's prepare with the right mindset and the right skills to be ready for when disappointment comes our way so we can turn it around into something more positive. So the mindset thing is very important. How do we figure out where somebody is? I'm so glad you asked. We use a very robust and curated package of assessments to identify your current reality, so you know where you are right now. You know which of your skills are strong, where your gap areas and developmental opportunities are, so that you can get the mindset and the skill sets you need to operate at your highest level, to get your best success, your best satisfaction in life. So don't let disappointment keep you down. Look at it as an opportunity to turn things around.